Welcome to One Man's Tracks, the second-hand music channel. It's time I took one last stop in this little mini-series of UK electro-revolutionary bands from the 90s that begin with the letter P series with a complimentary duo out of Bath, England. Let's take a dip in the slippery sampling and bubbling big beats of the Propellerheads, a band consisting of Alex Gifford and Will White, a fairly reclusive pair, or perhaps the internet has just become such a tangled up mess at this point. I can't seem to find a backstory on these two outside of some saxophone playing on a couple of the Stranglers records from Alex in the late 80s. I'm not even sure how these two connected in the first place. Are these even their real names? But when the connection was made official in 1995, it didn't take long for their engaged live DJing combination with keys and drums to start building a buzz, and they were given the nod to remix a John Barry Bond theme on Her Majesty's Secret Service that was released in a tribute album in 1997, just a year after their debut EP Dive came out. They land a propitious top 20 hit with a feature from Madame Bond herself, Dame Shirley Bassey, who'd help propel their beat-breaking progressive production to gold record status with the release of this. In January of 1998, through Wall of Sound and DreamWorks Records, it's Propellerheads' one and only full-length project, Decks and Drums and Rock and Roll. A smooth, roaming dance record that plays with a wide variety of sounds and styles. It slips so suitably into so many different backdrops and does so fairly seamlessly, even with this track list being littered with these captivating moments of punctuated theatrics. With over an hour of moving, grooving, cruising tunes, Decks and Drums bumps along frictionlessly, laid back at all tempos, even under duress, just way too cool. These unflappable Englishmen create an emotional atmosphere, serving as this multi-dimensional sonic canvas upon which the listener can imagine or even act out whatever thrilling fantasy that moves them. It's gotta be one of the reasons why so many Propellerheads tracks ended up on video game and film scores. They're just great collaborators with producers, with other artists, with each other, obviously. It's just music that lends itself to an imaginative listen, and I'm certain there's folks out there that have an entire movie that plays in their head while this jams along. If I may set the opening scene a little bit, it feels like a shady business deal in some high-rise in a crispy coastal metropolitan capital. Take California was actually the original iPod commercial music, but I still can't help but envision men in suits, sunglasses, helicopters rolling along high above the bustling streets and beaches with this detached indifference, sort of feeling untouchable. There were 3 versions of this album released depending on where you were in the world. If you were from the UK and I'm assuming the rest of Europe, the second track is the aptly titled Echo and Bounce. It's full of spacey, spoingy beeps and boops. It conveys this playful feeling of bouncing around in a rudimentary video game. It's pretty fun for a minute, but ultimately leaves me a bit underwhelmed. Reverberating onto the all-inclusive Velvet Pants. It's about as energetic as lounge music gets here, with exciting yet still understated drum and bass progressions. It's groovy, I guess. We then get teased by a super vibey drum and horn sampled interlude, layer in the bass and the keys and other scratchy samples, tying it all in before laying right back for oh yeah, a super chill, smoky skate sesh song that got a masterful freewheelin' De La Soul feature slapped on it for American and Japanese audiences, bringing this groovy funk hop number to a whole nother level. The aforementioned Dame Shirley Bassey suavely slides in now with history repeating, a beautifully dramatic big jazz Bond theme banger that's so fantastic it takes you sky high before winning styles, floaty synthed up sampling brings you back down to that unconcerned cruising aura. Or perhaps it's a state of meditative preparation for the upcoming racing video game song Bang On. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory sampled foot to the floor, charged electropunk blast. It's the most out of control track on the record by far. It's a stimulating, hyper speed ripper. I don't think I'm understanding what the purpose of a number of microphones is trying to get at, besides maybe highlight the musical divide between the cool kids and the old heads. Either way, it's very short lived, and it leads us into that tremendous Bond tribute on Her Majesty's Secret Service. This driven thriller is an over 9-minute cinematic epic. It just keeps on jamming. An unraveling adventure hitting all the stops from the classic horns and rolling riffs to the rumbling crashes and its fuzzy guitar finale that just has me stank facing all the way to the finish line. The bigger interlude has got to be originally conceived as the second half of the better interlude, and I get that they're probably trying to get some more cohesion within the track list here, but I honestly feel like it would have worked both bigger and better had these songs just been left together. This funky mashup just feels a little too messy and out of place on its own. Just send me right into the dense, dramatic trippiness of Coming to Get Ya's creepin', stretched out, psychedelic big beats. But I do also think that this track could have been placed somewhere else in this track list due to how cool it would have been to blend together Her Majesty's right into the more spy movie vibes of Spy Break. Perhaps they wanted to separate these songs because they do feel like they come from separate eras, with Spy Break being much more modern feeling, like a Mission Impossible or like the film it was actually featured in, The Matrix. For me, I think it's this perfect little background breakdance or parkour movie song full of moments of flashy action with a bit less of that emotional weight that you would feel from a Bond or an Incredibles for that matter. That's actually the closer on the UK version, but us Americans get the Jungle Brother featured You Want It Back, and they bring the spicy jungle funk action, building and hitting us with super catchy vocal hooks. This gripping cut gives the record one last peppy kick to remember it by, and once more highlighting just how well these guys' music lends itself to collaboration, or at least just how excellent they were at picking collaborators, because every featured track is a standout highlight here. They've crafted this light, malleable mix that draws in other artists to shape their own worlds into and transfer into basically any creative medium you can imagine. Playing with such a variety of atmospheres, riffs, and tempos, I feel like there's a little something for most on here, but personally, I can't help but imagine this group with a dedicated frontman to help nail down some more meaning in these songs. I think the 360 version of Oh Yeah makes it basically clear as day. Maybe I'm being a little too greedy at this point, but it would be cool if they'd release just one version fully instrumental and then found a feature for every track and released a whole nother version. I'm really just chomping at the bit for something that doesn't exist because Propellerheads called it quits in 2005 with just decks and drums, a few EPs, and a handful of collaborations to their name. I do think, though, that some of those EPs do a far better job at highlighting the decks aspect of their live performance that was so captivating in the first place. One nice thing about their minimal catalog is that the 20th anniversary edition of this album contains nearly every single props tune on it. I mean, the Japanese version did come close with their special bonus disc, but the 20th anniversary is a 2.5 hour one stop shop for giving your propeller head a proper spin. As I mentioned, Alex Gifford and Will White are fairly elusive these days. I did read that Alex played live for Long Range for a stint, and Will had a band called Flexitones, but outside of just a single track on this 37-hour compilation that came out about a decade ago, my lousy internet sleuthing came up pretty empty handed. They showed up, made a big beat splash, and just cruised right on, it seems. If you do know anything about them, I'd love to hear it down in the comments. Maybe we can discuss your favorite track or talk about how they did their live shows. I'm very curious and inspired by these cool guys, so let's talk about it. Otherwise, just consider leaving me a like if you're still watching, and think about subscribing for a bi-weekly dose of throwback musical nostalgia. Secondhand CDs coming at you, baby. Otherwise, take good care. Thanks for watching. When you had it, you didn't want it. Now you ain't got it, you want it back. When you had it, you didn't want it. Now you ain't got it, you want it back. When you had it, you didn't want it. Now you ain't got it, you want it back. When you had it, you didn't want it. Now you ain't got it, you want it back. When you had it, you didn't want it. Now you ain't got it. I know, it's not a propeller. I couldn't find the hat. It's amazing how hard it is to locally source a propeller hat these days. I mean, come on.